Welcome to PVTV English edition. In this program, the state of play in Myanmar. We are going to deliver current affairs review by PVTV. So that our friends around the world who are craving for democracy and human rights get a better understanding of the actual footage of the situations in Myanmar. So please tune in to our program.
Myanmar Spring Revolution and International Assistance. It's been more than a year since the terrorist military council led by Min Aung Hlaing seized power. In these situations, there is a question to be asked. That is, what kinds of international assistance have been received by the people of Myanmar and their revolutionary fighting for democracy? Members of the National Unity Government who are leading this revolution have to remain here and there in different places in order to carry out the tasks of a revolutionary government. Nonetheless, despite their efforts in supplying ammunition to People's Defense Forces, local defense forces and alliances, NUG still gets greatly criticized by the people, as they are disappointed by the fact that NUG fails to adequately equip all of the forces. In a report made after 6 months into the People's Resistance War, U Yimon, Union Minister of Defense, said that NUG is operating under various challenges and funds are still needed for weapons and ammunition. He also stated that 85% of more than $30 million funds donated by the people were used to purchase firearms. To this end, most of the people wish for the day where international aid and weapon supplies will arrive. Last year, after the coup on February 1st, Myanmar people collectively took to the streets and fearlessly protested against the dictator. They also protested in front of foreign embassies and United Nations office to seek international attention and assistance. When civilians are being killed in violent crackdowns by the junta, there was a young man who protested under the CCTV camera of the UN office, holding the signboard that read, "How many dead bodies are needed for the UN to take action?" This incident became well known, not only in the local media, but in the world media as well. To let the world know their stance against the coup, people of Myanmar demonstrated it in many ways. There were times in the global media where there was a steady stream of coverage and interest about what was happening in Myanmar. However, the international community and the United Nations have only expressed their concern in words. And though the United States and other European countries imposed sanctions on the junta leaders, there was no assistance other than that. In addition to the pressure from all sides, ASEAN warns the terrorist military to adhere to ASEAN's 5-point consensus. These 5 points consist of to immediately cease the violence in Myanmar and to exercise restraint on all stakeholders, to have a constructive dialogue among all the stakeholders to find a peaceful solution in the interests of the people, to host a special envoy of the ASEAN chair to mediate the dialogue process with the assistance of the Secretary General of ASEAN, to provide humanitarian assistance by ASEAN through the AHA Center, and to send the special representative and his delegation to Myanmar in order to meet with all the stakeholders. The ASEAN's 5-point consensus was agreed by all, including United Nations, the United States and European community, and they pressured on the terrorist military to accept them, to which Min Aung Hlaing denied. Myanmar people and the revolutionaries also do not accept these 5 points, but the international community is not aware of the people's opinion and continues to force Min Aung Hlaing to accept them. Some union ministers of the NUG have also pointed out that the 5-point consensus of the ASEAN is not politically acceptable. A few days ago, the ASEAN Special Envoy visited Myanmar and met with Min Aung Hlaing and his associates, but ended up giving up by concluding it would take time to resolve the issues in Myanmar. To inform the international community that the military coup leaders are politically illegitimate, the committee representing Pidangsu Hluttaw CRPH and the National Unity Government NUG were formed to connect with international community to gain aid. Consequently, the international community has denounced the military leaders as an illegal government and recognized the NUG as legitimate, except they could not provide any more effective support for the revolution than that. With the efforts of the National Unity Government and the active participation of the people, a large number of People's Defense Forces emerged and engaged in a resistance war against the terrorist military with percussion rifles and single-shot rifles. Even during these times, the international community failed to provide any kind of assistance. Not to compare, but it is a fact that the United States provided $13 billion in arms supplies to Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine conflict had begun. Union Minister of Foreign Affairs Dawson Maung also stated that so far we have not received a penny from any country for our revolution. We are moving forward only with the support of our people. That is not just for the resistance war, but also for the protests and strikes. You know well that we have to sell treasury bonds to collect funds for our revolution and to do other charitable works on the ground. We are raising millions of dollars from Myanmar people around the world. We, the Myanmar people, can now gradually formulate and grow our own defense forces and fight the military. If we could get billions of dollars, we would be able to provide humanitarian aid to the IDPs, much more food and other supplies to our troops. $1 billion. There is $1 billion which is owned by Myanmar in US assets. After the coup, US President Joe Biden issued an executive order on February 10, 2021 to freeze these $1 billion to put pressure on the military junta. When the National Unity Government was established, it demanded that the $1 billion be released to NUG, but US did not comply. Many Myanmar people living in the United States protested in front of the House of Committee on Foreign Affairs in New York to release that money. Dawson Maung, the Union Minister of Foreign Affairs, said that NUG has been working to get official recognition from the US government, given the fact that after getting recognition, NUG would be able to withdraw $1 billion in controlled funds, which would greatly benefit the revolution and which would likely open the doors to receive more humanitarian aid. In the meantime, US Congress approved $136 million US aid budget for Myanmar. These aids will not go to the terrorist military, but to the people of Myanmar through the people's elected government, the National Unity Government. After the news about the aid came out, there has been some debate over whether or not the money could be used to buy weapons. Nonetheless, they all agree that it is a benefit for the people no matter what kind of aid it is. As the revolution accelerated, so did the numbers of war zones. As a result, the numbers of the refugees increased day by day. And as the number of refugees rises, so does the need for more humanitarian assistance. During these hard times, near Moso village, Fruso Township in Karenni State, the terrorist military troops killed the staffs of Save the Children International, which made HCI to suspend some of the projects in Myanmar after that incident. The National Unity Government, which is leading the revolution with good management, is working with the donations by the people rather than relying on international assistance. NUG is trying to raise funds through various means such as selling treasury bonds, raffle tickets, and Nui lottery tickets and opening Nui clinics. Some of the funds being raised are used to support CDMers and some are used to support the People's Defense Forces fighting for the revolution. There are remarks that the revolution would be moving forward a lot faster if it gets more effective international support. The Union Minister of Planning, Finance and Investment, Utin Tonai, said, "In this revolution, we have not received a penny from the international partner organizations and governments so far, but the extreme atrocities committed by the terrorist military, such as burning of entire villages, mass killings, evacuation of the whole areas, and the sufferings of refugees are happening every day." Adhering to the principle of from the people to the people, the Myanmar people are making donations and aids for the success of the Spring Revolution. With these donations, the Spring Revolution has indeed moved forward gradually and will inevitably lead to success even without the international support.
PVTV ကမြို့တော်လိုင်းရေးဆိုင်ရာအစီအစဉ်ကောင်းတွေကိုရည်စည်တင်ဆက်ပေးနေရှိပါတယ်။ PVTV ကထုတ်လွှင့်တင်ဆက်ပေးနေတဲ့အစီအစဉ်တွေကို PVTV ရဲ့တရားဝင် YouTube Channel ဖြစ်တဲ့ youtube.com/c/PVTV မြန်မာကို Subscribe လုပ်ကြည့်ရှုပေးကြရဖြင့်တော်လိုင်းကိုတစ်သက်တအားဖုန်းမှုပြည်ပေးနိုင်ပြီဖြစ်ကြောင်းသတင်းအောင်ပါလိုက်ပါတယ်ရှင်။စိတ်ရကလစ်တွေနဲ့တော်လိုင်းရေးကိုနိုင်တဲ့ဘက်ကထိတ်ဆက်အားဖြည့်လိုက်ကြအောင်ပါ။အရေးတော်ပုံအောင်ရမည်။